Welcome to Mr. Erbac's game. Game start. Mr. Erbac's retro classic video game review.
Way back when I relaunched and renamed this series, going from a series of shorts to an episodic series, I reviewed Burning Fight for Neo Geo in episode 1, a Final Fight knockoff, but a good one.
As you can see by the character select screen, this game was heavily inspired by Final Fight, as this was created during the heyday of other beat-em-ups, Final Fight in particular. You had Cody, the balanced character.
Before that, way back, Stephen S. showcased a couple of ports of Final Fight and Final Fight Guide, both for the Super Nintendo.
Stephen S. played Final Fight and Final Fight Guide. Let's look at Final Fight for the Super NES. Let's look at Final Fight Guide for the Super NES. You're back. Thanks for the shout out.
Final Fight was released by Capcom for arcades in 1989. It was originally supposed to be a follow-up to Street Fighter, and it was titled Street Fighter 89. Luckily, it was renamed, and we got Street Fighter 2 as a sequel instead, with Final Fight being a part of the same universe as evidenced by character appearances in Street Fighter. Final Fight 2 even had an appearance from Chun-Li. Anyways, Final Fight was a massive success. Naturally, it would get ports. ZX Spectrum, Sharp X68000, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, Super Nintendo, Atari ST, Amiga, and Sega CD. This quarter-munching classic was a fun beat-em-up for 1 or 2 players. It greatly upped the ante on graphics compared to the mega hit Double Dragon. It has bigger and more detailed sprites and backgrounds, and better animation.
The most well-known port was the infamous Super Nintendo version. Why was it infamous? Well, because in this port, you could only select from Hager or Cody. You could not select Guy from the arcade. 2 characters, 1 player.
A second version was offered called Final Fight Guide, which replaced Cody with Guide. It was offered as a Blockbuster video exclusive rental in the US. Final Fight was released in Japan for the Super Famicom on December 21st, 1990. The US got its Super Nintendo release September of 1991. Japan got Final Fight Guide March 20th, 1992. In June 1994, the US would get Final Fight Guide as a Blockbuster rental only. Would this be worth another purchase anyway? Let's find out. So grab a 2x4, sword, whatever you can find on the streets, as I review both Final Fight and Final Fight Guide. They're so similar, I can review them both.
Hey, Erbac, you need D's to help Mayor Hagar defeat the Mad Gear Gang.
Thank you, Councilman. Let's go.
Let's look at the story from each instruction booklet. You are now entering Metro City. For years, Metro City has been known as the crime capital of the world. At the heart of the city's crime problem has been the notorious Mad Gear Gang. Each day they tighten their grip on the city. But one man has risen to break the Mad Gear's stranglehold on the city. Mayor Mike Hager, a former Street Fighter, has vowed to track down and arrest every member of the Mad Gear Gang. When the leader of the Mad Gear Gang learned of Hager's plan, he quickly moved to bring the new mayor under his control. Now, Hager's daughter Jessica is missing, and the Mad Gear Gang have got her. But they've made one mistake. They've made Hager fighting mad, and now nothing is going to stop him from getting her back. It's a bare-knuckle brawl as you bust the heads of any punks that stand in your way. Grab a little extra food to keep up your strength, and with a little luck, you may find the mysterious leader of the Mad Gear Gang. Welcome to Metro City. There is a reason that Metro City is known as the crime capital of the world. Over the years, corruption seeped its way into the very heart of the government and brought the city to its knees. Soon the Mad Gear Gang had the entire city firmly within their grasp, but the corruption is going on for too long, and the citizens are tired of fearing for their lives each time they step foot on the street. They are ready for a change. The new mayor, a former wrestler by the name of Mike Hager, has promised to clean up the city, but the task is much bigger than Hager could possibly know. The Mad Gear Gang is firmly entrenched in all parts of the city, and they refuse to give up their little empires. But the Mad Gear do make mistakes, and unknown to them, they just made the biggest one of their lives. When the Mad Gear Gang found that Hager couldn't be bought, they decided to take the one thing Hager values more than his own life, his daughter Jessica. The Mad Gear were sure that Hager would do anything to get Jessica back, and they were right. But they didn't think he would go on a rampage to take her back and call and help from Guy, Metro City's greatest hero. Hit the streets. It's one man against an entire city, and Guy and Hager are ready to take and bust some heads. Nothing will going to stand in the way of them as they pound the Mad Gear to the ground and search for the headquarters of the elusive leader of the Mad Gear Gang and Jessica. Let's look at the difference in intros in Final Fight and Final Fight Guy. Both games feature the censored version of the arcade game's intro. In the United States, Jessica is actually taken out of the intro, and you only hear her screaming. This was the uncensored version, which makes things even scarier for Jessica and her dad, Mike Hager. Nintendo's censorship policies were in full effect at this time, so no surprise there. The biggest example of censorship of the US ports is the replacing of Roxy and Poison, the two female enemies of Final Fight, with Billy and Sid, two homosexual characters. Religious references are removed as well.
Oh my god!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But I actually like Thrasher and Katana over Damned and Sodom. Who calls himself Damned? And why was he named Sodom when he's into Japanese culture? Maybe it wasn't intended as a Bible reference since it's pronounced Sodom, I think. Not Sodom. But close enough they changed it. So obviously when you start the game, it's only one player on both versions. This port, you select Cody or Hager. This port, you select Guy or Hager. You have your points, which you want to earn for extra lives. Here's your life number. Current high score, strength meter, I call it health meter. The slowest timer ever. You have to try extremely hard to run out of time in this game. The enemy strength meter is shown here. You have a punch button, press Y. Jump with the B button. Press control pad against the enemy to grab them. Y button to pick up an item. Start the pause. Each character has their own attacks and differences. Hager the wrestler, he's biggest, strongest, and slowest in all versions. They can suplex an enemy or pile drive an enemy when grabbing them or a simple headbutt. Cody is the most balanced character. He also is an expert with knives and can use the knife without throwing it. Guy is the fastest, but weakest character. He has a wild jump as his special ability. Each character has a super move, or desperation move, which does deplete a small amount of energy. Press Y plus B. As you play through these brawlers, you'll want to smash through objects that possibly conceal food items. Bonus point items, or weapons. Notice the beer is missing for obvious reasons. Pick them all up with Y. Get those bonus points for extra lives because you have limited continues. And unlike the arcade, here you start a level over after using all your lives. This action-packed beat-em-up features 5 action-packed rounds. Wait, the arcade had 6 stages rounds. Capture space issue, it seems. You have the slums, the subway, the west side, the industrial area. No, that's the one that's missing. More on that later. The Bay Area. Leoski? What does that mean? And Uptown. The industrial area from the arcade version is missing, as I mentioned, and with that, a future Street Fighter character, Rolento, the boss of the stage. This flame pot was pretty frustrating. Ah, come on! Every level has an end boss. Thrasher, Katana, Eddie E, Abigail.
He always reminded me of Animal from the Road Warriors.
And Belger. Belger's wheelchair experiences censorship in this. Redrawn to look like an office chair. The biggest omission to Final Fight is the two-player mode. Final Fight Guy also did not correct this. There is fun to be had in these ports. Unfortunately, not with a friend. The next biggest omission is the number of enemies on screen at once. This is a huge difference. The arcade version could have as many as, I don't know, 9 or 10 or something like that. Even so, there's occasional slowdown. So more enemies would have affected performance on this port. I mentioned this when I compared this game in my review of Batman Returns for Super Nintendo. That game had only 3 enemies at a time. SNES beat 'em ups, you can only fight 3 enemies at a time. This was possibly to prevent slowdown? I don't know. Super Nintendo just wasn't tough enough to handle more than 3 enemies at screen at once. Graphics. They are quite good, but the cartridge space made for a lot of cuts. Most of the scene transitions were cut out. Also, little details like these strap handles, for example, on the subway, were left out. The sprites here are fantastic and represent the arcade proudly. The animation and backgrounds are sharp. The sprites are big and well animated. I think this enemy's kick was cut though.
Erbac. Is it Simons or Simmons? I'm pretty sure it's Simmons. And the extra M got lost in translation or something.
Sound. The sound is the best part of this game. Standard fare sound effects, voices are good enough, but the music is fantastic. I like the music better than the arcade version. I think the main theme, which you hear in 3 stages, sounds faster and harder. This is the one thing these two ports have an upgrade over the arcade, in my opinion. Gameplay. The gameplay is really good. Both versions have all the character moves from the arcade. If you can get past the occasional slowdown, lack of two-player, and a missing character, it's really fun. Despite the lack of enemies on screen, it still can be challenging because the enemies get up at different times. Plus, you lose our lives and you start the stage over. The gameplay is tight and responsive. Very good. Let's look at the negatives. No two-player mode. Each port has a missing character. Only 3 enemies can appear on screen at once. Missing a whole stage and boss. Censorship. Including blood, alcohol, and religious references. Occasional slowdown. No option mode. Can only be accessed via cheat code. Ending can only be unlocked by completing the game on hard mode, which can only be accessed via cheat. This applies only to Final Fight Guy, by the way. These are 2 fun brawlers. It's subjective which is better. It really depends if you like Cody or Guy better. Final Fight Guy has slightly less slowdown and 2 new power-ups. A 1-up and a no damage power-up. But these are not enough to warrant a higher score. I gave these 2 Final Fight ports a 7 out of 10. Did you know that Final Fight was heavily influenced by the movie Streets of Fire starring Michael Bear as Clone Cody?
Game over. Thank you for watching.